Hi, this is Joe Ator from Frankfurt on Foot, and today we are going to talk about the International Remembrance Day for the Holocaust, because 77 years ago today, Auschwitz was liberated by the Soviet Army. So I'm going to be filming some of the many Holocaust memorials that are in Frankfurt to commemorate those who lost their lives, different groups that were persecuted. We're starting out here at the Holocaust Memorial Wall for the Jewish community of Frankfurt. This wall has approximately 12,000 names on it. The city deported around 10,600 Jews, and about 300 of them survived. As you can see here, we have names for Auschwitz. Auschwitz was the only camp that did tattoos on the wrists, and so it's very apparent today out in the survivors who was there. All the other camps, they just had numbers. When Auschwitz was liberated, there had been about 80,000 people there. The SS set off on a death march with about 60,000 prisoners, many of whom died underway. And by the time the Soviets got there, there were about 7,000 prisoners left in Auschwitz. And, you know, most of them were old and sick, or they were children. There were at least 900 children in Auschwitz when the camp was liberated. It's very chilling to see all these names. We're at the Frankfurter Engel, the Frankfurt Angel. This is the monument to the gay men and women from Frankfurt who were murdered by the Nazis and persecuted. We don't know how many there were. They don't know how many were persecuted or killed at all in Germany because nobody kept track. It wasn't important to anybody until about the 1980s or 90s. So this angel, this monument was put up in 1994. It's a copy of an angel that was on top of the Cologne Cathedral, and our sculptor has broken her head off, or his head off, and clipped the wings to demonstrate the Nazis just thought that these men were broken. They just needed to be fixed. After the camps were liberated, many of these men had to stay in them because homosexuality was still illegal in Germany, and it stayed illegal for a long time. This is the artist, Rosemarie Trockel. This is a dreidel. This is a monument put up in 2017 because right across the street was an orphanage. And in 1942, 43 of the children that were here, as well as their caretakers, were taken away to Theresienstadt, and they believe most of them were murdered. Because this was a toy that children played with, this was decided to be the monument for this. And there's more information over here. Ich bin ein kleiner Dreidel, gemacht bin ich von Blei. Ich bin ein kleiner Dreidel, ich bin gemacht aus Blei. And this is right at the corner of Gartenstrasse and Hans-Thomas-Straße at the Platz der vergessenen Kinder, the place of the forgotten children. Truly a sad, sad spot. This was an orphanage begun for infants up to 6-year-olds. But as the Nazis started sending parents away, parents would leave their small children here thinking that this was kind of a safe place. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Here we are at the memorial for the Roma and the Sinti that were deported, sterilized, and killed in Auschwitz from Frankfurt. We're standing in front of what used to be the health department in Frankfurt. It's now Margarita Restaurant. We're right here on Braubachstrasse. This plaque is on the outside of the building. So we know that about 174 Roma and Sinti were sent to Auschwitz, and at least 89 of them were killed. Whether any of them were freed or liberated on the day of liberation, I don't have that information, unfortunately. This is the memorial for the Jehovah Witnesses that were persecuted and murdered by the Nazis from Frankfurt. So it's showing a pair of hands that were supposed to be holding a loaf of bread. And it's in front of a house here at 58 Rohrbachstrasse. And this is where a baker named Martin Bertram lived. He continued to sell bread to the Jews. After the Nazis wanted him to stop, they wanted him to put a sign in his window saying, "Germans only, no Jews." And he said no, he didn't think that was very Christian. And he was taken away and spent about 8 years in Buchenwald. So about 152 Jehovah Witnesses were picked up from Frankfurt, and 15 to 18 of them lost their lives. There are stumble stones here in the city for them. As you can see, this is a busy street, Rohrbachstrasse. This is a short ride on the number 12 Straßenbahn from Konstablerwache if you want to find this. If you're not looking for it, if you're not at this street address, you'll never find it the way it's sitting here on the street. So they were very, very persecuted by the Nazis. And they got, I think, no compensation after the war. This is a stumble stone for Jakob Hess. He was killed in the Nazi T4 program because he had epilepsy. The Nazis killed about 100,000 of their own people. These were people that were unable to work because of either physical or mental disabilities. And about 10,000 were killed in Hadamar, which is north of Frankfurt a little bit. Jacob Hess was killed in Kamenhof. This stumble stone is for Heinrich Schmidt. He was murdered by the Nazis for being a traitor and a communist. I got to come to the installation for this and meet some of his family members. It was just really moving to just to see the family and be honored to see how they remembered their relative. The city publishes when the installations are going to take place, so if you see them, I would go. This is a Stolperstein or stumble stone for Balthasar Meyer and for his wife Elizabeth. They were Jehovah Witnesses. Elizabeth was sent to Ravensbrück and survived. Balthasar didn't. This is at Fabrizia Strasse 11 in Griesheim. These are the Stolperstein, or the stumble stones, for the Zunz family. They were caretakers for the Rothschild house that used to be here. Here in the financial district, at the new Opera House, we have this memorial. This is for the many artists, musicians, dancers, directors who were persecuted and murdered by the Nazis. It got to the point where here in Frankfurt it was hard to put on any kind of theater or play because so many of the artists, actors, and musicians were gone. This does not list all the names. This is just some of the people to just represent all of them who lost their lives. I'm going to look up more. It's here. Museums all lost their directors too. Mainly because most of them were Jewish or gay. We are ending our tour today with this very last memorial put up in Frankfurt. This is the children's carousel. This is where the parents had to say goodbye to their children as they were sent off on children transports, also known as the kinder transports, to countries like the UK, America, Switzerland. Probably the most famous one is Dr. Ruth. I'm pretty sure most of these parents did not survive, but they said goodbye to their children with such hope. Auf Wiedersehen, Father. See you soon, my child. Well, there's an exhibit about this at the Deutsche Bibliothek. I really recommend you go to this if you have the chance.